right, here we are. Small group. We do expect a couple more people, and they'll fold in when they fold in. But what are we here to talk about today? Gratitude, gratitude and coaching. And I laughed when I was just about to say to both Kara and Fred, who called in first. And in some ways, this is a perfect call for a January. Make it look like it was a cop out, like Ron didn't prepare for this call. He's going to make us come up with the content. But I thought it was most the word inclusive just gets so destroyed nowadays, but I'm going to say most inclusive, most including, because I can tell you what I think about gratitude and the impact it has on my life and what I've seen. But I thought, how much better could this call be if I share some thoughts? But we go around the horn and have everybody share their experience with coming from gratitude in their life in general, and with their clients and their husbands and wives and friends, and what their impact of that is on coaching. So that's what I'm hoping to facilitate, is a little conversation for each of us on gratitude. Because as we do know, well, let me just start in with my thoughts. First of all, being a cranky guy or gal makes for a miserable life. Okay, there's one reason to have gratitude. Let's not be ungrateful. The other thing is, I'm sure you can agree with this. I have found it becomes, what a great foundation to start with. I'm grateful. Oh, now I can create more of that, which I'm grateful for. My vibration, my vibe, my energy, my whatever, can help me create more of this. Guess what? It changes why? Because it changes the ideas that I come up with, my desire to step in and do something. Because if I'm ungrateful and kind of cranky, well, why bother and everything else? But if I'm feeling the vibe and I'm excited about something, then again, new options come to mind, and I've got a different energy to, motivate me to do something. So I'm a big fan. I keep looking down here at this. I've got myself not centered, so I'm going to look at the camera here. So I'm a big fan of gratitude, and it's not easy to stay in because, this happens and that happens, and we feel like a victim of this, or we are overtired or whatever else. But to me, it feels like one of the great muster points is to know, maybe life does have meaning. You are worth it. People do need you. You are expected. You do have a duty. And start with gratitude and come from a place of gratitude. I find those are all great muster points. But what are your thoughts about gratitude in life and its impact?
I can jump in there. I think especially we can be so bombarded with horrible stuff on the news and so much in social media, and really it's very easy to fall into a mindset of scarcity, of not having enough. And I think gratitude as a practice really helps us see what we do have, the strengths that we have, the accomplishments that we've achieved, the connections that we have with other people, and the community that we have around us. And that the exercise of just exploring what we're grateful of can highlight how much we already have. And it's very hard to be in a mindset of scarcity if you know how much you already have.
Yeah. Yeah, as you're talking, it's making me think more about what I had said about being a victim. Well, I'm a victim. I got all these things to complain about. Yeah, and you're in a warm house. There's, a foot of snow outside. It's 12 degrees, and people are being bombed somewhere in this world. You got a lot to be grateful for, buddy, and build from. So yeah.
Mm.
And that's an extreme case, but nonetheless, yeah, so much to be grateful for. Fred, before I go to anybody, actually, let me hit everybody else first, and we'll come back around to my other question. Kara, Takesha, what do you got?
I was just going to share that gratitude is a powerful energy for me. It takes me a minute to step into that space and actually just calm whatever might be going on, or like, the whole scarcity piece. Am I doing enough? Do I have enough? Should I be working harder? And just finding a space of, I have enough. I have what I need, and it's a calming energy, but it's a powerful energy. And I find it is, it's contagious. When you greet people with this gratitude, it's almost like, oh, what level is she on? I want some of that. That seems peaceful and calm. Yes, she has a lot to do, but she is settled, and I found that that's helpful in the workplace where I coach, to get people from here to kind of here and just to kind of come and settle.
You know,
So,
as you talk, it makes me think too about you become that person that others know that it's calming, that it's easy, that she's got a good
mhm,
vibe. And it's probably in some ways for you a self-perpetuating, um, oh, there's a word I'm missing right now, but it's like you want to step into being more of that person as people begin to receive
yeah,
you, perceive you like that.
yeah, yeah, it becomes like a superpower, like, oh, okay, people respond to this energy, and it's helpful for me, and I'm helping others in the process of just shifting the energy and the vibration.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's funny
Mhm,
about that thing too, when we make a decision that this is the way it's going to be, and we really make a decision that we're not, sliding back, but people test you for a little while. They try to engage you in nonsense conversations, or the world tests you to see are you really committed to this.
mhm,
Yeah, but once you start heading down that deal, yeah, people start seeing you as that, knowing as that, then you want to wake up in the morning and be more of that person. So I
mhm.
appreciate that, Takesha. That makes me want to get over some of those initial humps, that initial those hard parts where it's easy to kind of proclaim myself as like 10% victim or something like that.
Mhm. Woe is me, woe is me. Yeah, helps you snap out of it.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, Kara, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, right now with um I'm just feeling gratitude on a very, very personal level. So Takesha, just telling them before we started the call, I'm a new mom. I have a brand new 2-month-old baby. Um,
Congratulations, my goodness.
thank you. And motherhood is something I've wanted for a very long time. And this whole experience, sleepless nights. I got about 3 hours of sleep last night. That's okay. I'm
Mhm.
it all of he just makes it all just fine, and I'm so grateful for him and for the experience. I feel a different level of patience. And I wrote down the word savoring, where I feel like I'm savoring every moment, and that is every sleepless moment, every little, fussy cry, like whatever it may be.
Mhm.
I'm just savoring it all right now, and I want to see now that I'm starting to get back to coaching, how I can bring that energy into my coaching. I also wrote down no blame. Like there's no blame to my baby for being me being up all night. There's no blame there. How can I bring that kind of energy and that savoring into my coaching? And so that's what's kind of stirring for me right now.
Wow.
I love that. Savoring. That's powerful.
You remind me, Kara, there's I think it's Jocko Willink. Is that his name? It's a American, he was like not a Green Beret, he was a Navy SEAL. And somebody told him, and then he now uses it, the expression good. So, something unpleasant happens, good. Now, da 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 da. Oh, my son has kept me up till 4 in the morning. Good, because now I can see what I got in the tank and show up if even only on 3 hours of sleep. You know
Yeah.
what? That is, it's a great reminder. Like I think about you have created such an amazing blessing in your life, literally and figuratively. Um, it doesn't matter that you're up till 4. It doesn't matter if somebody spits up
Yeah.
on your shoulder. It just doesn't matter because you're up to something bigger.
Yes.
And that isn't that very instructive for anybody who's listening to this is like
Yeah.
go create something that's so compelling that good you just got
Yeah.
resistance.
Stephen, you mentioned, you said like the phrase like 10% victim or even just victim in general. And I feel like, hey, you know what? Kara 6 months ago or a year ago in this kind of sleepy state might be having a bit of some victim mentality. Um, but I just don't feel that today. It's just so much different.
Yeah. And again, tell me if I'm off, but it seems like obvious as can be is well, first of yeah, you've created something that is so compelling that you wanted, and even if it wasn't quite what you wanted, you want him.
Yeah.
And it's you're choosing moment by moment that this matters, this has value, this that mattered that you stayed up till 4, like the sense of purpose just in doing that.
Yeah.
So
And it is choice. I could choose to to complain and, oh, I'm so sleepy, baby kept me up all night. I could choose to complain, but just seems pointless.
Yeah, because you do see mothers, oh, the baby can be so, and then you get your sympathy and you get your feel goods from everybody going, oh, she's such a good mother, but she suffers so because the baby. It's like, oh, you can get your feel goods from that. Or what would you say the or is, Kara?
Or I can say, hey, I got to hold my baby all night long last night, and hey, I still got sleep. I still got a few hours of sleep. I'll be able to nap later. It's just not, doesn't feel like a big deal.
Fred, let me bounce a few off you guys, everybody
Yeah.
else here. We'll let mom take up a little break here. Coach says, I've been trying to build my coaching business for 6 months. I'm not creating what I want. Takesha, what do you think? Like, what's the good and then the gratitude you can have off of that? Let's play a little game. I'll bat stuff off you guys.
I just wanted to offer a bit of feedback for Tara. Since she's a new mother, I have a preteen and a teenager, and often mothers would look for this woe is me story. They expect to hear how tough it is and where you're struggling. And I did that virtually 1 hour ago. Oh, these teenagers, they're stressing me out. So it's important to just change the narrative on that. And most times the receiving person won't know what to do with it. They're not used to hearing joy in the struggle. So yeah, just to offer that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What was your question? I'm sorry, Ron.
That's okay. And it's Kara.
Oh, Kara, I'm sorry. I said Tara. Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
I said it's okay for you, Carrie. She's low maintenance. So the idea is I'm going to throw a scenario over to you guys and I'm just going to hit you. So the idea is if we were to say good about this scenario, that could be a woe is me story. What's the gratitude that one could find in it? So if I start with you, Takesha, what, somebody's been struggling for 6 months or 2 years to build their coaching business.
Good. Well, let's consider what you may have learned in the process. Yes, you may not have gotten everything across the finish line, but what were your takeaways?
Yeah, there you go. There's a lot to learn, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Hey, Fred, geez, you know what? My wife and I are really struggling with some stuff right now, and I don't even know where to begin to set things right.
What do you have to lose?
Well, what's the good part? Like what we're really doing here is reframing. So if it's a good, what's good about that? What can you make up as good about where this person is?
Yeah. As with Takesha, what does it teach you about what's important?
You learn something. What came to my mind too was, there's an opportunity then. What a great opportunity to start from the beginning. What do you want to create now? Let's see what mom's got here. It's not fair. She's got a superpower. She's in the zone, but we'll see. We can test her. There's so much pain and chaos going around in the world, and I don't know how to make a difference. And I just feel like, I don't even know where to begin or what to do.
Good. Maybe this is an opportunity to work on yourself and your own self-connection.
There you go. I love it. And let's tie this into gratitude. How does this relate to gratitude, what we're doing right here?
Well, it's a reframing to put the spotlight onto the positives that you can take from the situation.
Yeah.
I would also say reducing the anxiety around the need to perform and deliver constantly, giving yourself a break.
That's great. Yeah. So in doing that, the reframe allows that to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually, to me, like, it seems like the subtext of this is what's great about that. There's sort of the old personal growth version of like, oh, I'm at the end of my rope. Great. Well, tie a knot and the only place to go is up. I'm between a rock and a hard place. Great. So you got something hard to push off of no matter what you do. It's like, okay. But it goes.
Like that. What's great about that? That's
a
quick reframe.
That's a quick reframe. Yeah. Actually, Takesha, I was just about to name you and say, yeah, it sounds like what you were talking about, where it's like, if you just go to gratitude, if you just start establishing there is something great and something worthy of being grateful for,
Mhm.
that's just your come from.
Agreed.
Opens new doors.
Opens new doors. Yeah, but it makes me think, Kara, too, about, so who we are drives. I used to always just go, who we are drives what we do. What we do creates our results. But I like adding something in before that. Who we are creates options. We have a different menu, right? And that's pointing to what you were saying. And now I've got a different menu of things because I'm feeling grateful versus like a victim, a new menu of things to choose from, to do, to then create my results. So yeah, that's awesome. How do you see in your coaching that gratitude needs to show up much more for your clients? Like, where do you see they need that it's not been showing up? Where do you see it's been hamstringing, like shortening, sabotaging your clients? Like, how does it manifest?
I just yesterday had one of my first calls after coming back from my maternity leave, and she hadn't done anything in the last 2 months. And she had goals before I went into labor, and everything got put on hold, and then now she's like beating herself up about it. And so that's an area where I was just thinking, she's so stuck in this tunnel vision of just self-deprecation for not doing anything, whereas good, this is another new chance to start building self-accountability, and look at what happened and how do you want to move forward.
Yeah, when you were like, good, again, it inspired me to remind me of what Fred said a little while ago. Okay, like, and it was something like this, Fred. I might be not quoting you properly, but what did you learn? Great. What do you know now? I know 4 new ways I can procrastinate. Okay, good. What are we going to do with that information? What do you want to do now?
I had a client just before Christmas. He has a habit that, just a gambling habit, I can share that.
Yep.
And he, I guess, was at what he considered his rock bottom. And feeling the full weight of that, beating himself up, self-defeated. And I allowed him to tell his story. He had to get that out. He had to almost relive it and share it, because that was considered his first step. And to try to counter some of that was, okay, but you're here today and you want something different. And it took a while because he kept going back to his story. He felt it was safe to share. He was ashamed of it. But being able to look at some of the lessons that he had been missing, and that he was able to hold on to and actually take a good hard look at, and to get him to start thinking about what are those breadcrumbs that you can start dropping. Just one. Don't think about the 10. Think about the one that you need to maybe drop today. And I said, you dropped the first one already. You're here. You're here to talk about what you're struggling with.
Excellent.
You're here to say, I need some more support. So that was a challenging one, because, your heart kind of goes out for a man before Christmas who spent all his children's Christmas money, so it's like hearing that, allowing him to unload, but then to try to pick that energy up and be grateful, that you have a family who still supports you. This has been a long-standing challenge that they know you're struggling with. So it ended well, but it was a little spiral for a while, and it was hard to kind of pull him out, but we got there.
No, you did something, all your words are easily, people can perceive the good in that, but I want to point out one thing in particular. Yes. Is your like matter of fact nature. It's like, yeah, but that's okay. But there was no shame involved. And it kind of ties into a little bit of what Kara was talking about with, like, she was beating herself up. It's like, okay, great. No shame required. And to me, this is where people get involved with, oops, let me see, somebody's coming in. Where people, I'm just going to welcome Tara as she comes on in here.
Okay. So we have a Kara.
Good to see you. We're talking about gratitude, and Takesha and Kara just made a couple good points, and I'm just kind of tying it together about, you know, a client does something really, oh, they waste 2 months when they said they were going to do all this stuff, or they got themselves caught in a habit, pornography, well, I guess sex addiction, drugs, alcohol, gambling, shopping, whatever, like, oh, spiraling back into that thing again. What a wonderful opportunity we have as coaches, to name it, normalize, and be like, yeah, you did that. You did it again, and that's fine. It's not fine. It's nobody died. What do you now know? What are you committed to going forward? And what I was just about to say when you called in was, people mistake, coaches end up coaching on, oh, why, and oh, gee whiz, and this and that, and let the person feel bad for over and over and over again and think that's coaching. Now, it can be to a degree. I feel the shame. I feel like, that's right, Ron, feel it, smell it, taste it, touch it. What's it like to be an addict? And you did this, you shot yourself in the foot again. You did this to your family. Like, there's a way to, oh, really feel it and have it go through my body in order to go, oh, I don't want that. What do you want? And that creates the hard thing to push off of to create what I want. Great. But what a lot of coaches do is they give their clients permission to cycle back through again and again, and you're going nowhere. So there's a way to, like, look, you did this. Great. What do you want to do going forward? And not have to get bogged down in that. And I love both Kara and Takesha. You guys both had your own ways in which you had to engage with your own clients recently to just be like, hey, matter of fact, that's what happened. Now what? And their ego, that part of them that just, you know, wants to mess around with nonsense, play with their poop, so to speak. It almost like doesn't know what to do with that, because it's like, oh, I thought we were going to, no, we're not. Now you're held as magnificent again, and now you got to deal with that, you know.
Sometimes you have to find the right timing for when to cut that playing with your poop short. In this case, I felt that there was so much shame that he had attached to this, and the fact that I was like, okay, what next? What else? Tell me what, you know, what pivoted at that moment. I found that he continued to share and unload, so I had to allow for that. And I, you know, was hopeful that I could swing the energy the other way, but that was a time where I actually gave him full reign to share and unload.
You make a great point. So there's the unload, the fully feel it.
Yeah.
There could be the shorthand version of, yeah, dude, you effed up again. You did it again, and make him deal with it. Yeah, Joe, we did. Yeah, dude, are you done? Are you done doing this to yourself and your family?
Yeah.
That could be the short version of that. Not that it's better, right? But a short version of that, to kind of give him a little whiplash or hurt, and then go, I want this, and give him a place to pivot. But ultimately, what you did, normalize it as human behavior and bring them back to a place of choice.
Yeah, it's knowing what lane to pick.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, no, I want to stay with Kara and Takesha for just a minute. How does what each of you did in not letting somebody have to go to the shame of wasting 2 months, so to speak, right? Or crashing and burning financially and with himself and his family, what is it you see that we can be grateful for, they can be grateful for as an individual, despite that behavior or lack of action?
I would say by the time the coaching session ended, he left with feeling a bit more empowered, because before we left, we made a call to EAP to set up a counseling session. So
that's awesome. Before you go any more though, Takesha, like in this moment, and so I'm happy to hear more of where you ended. However, with this sort of, you know, new, while we're steeping in gratitude, what is it you see as you take a step back and look at him? What is it that he has to be grateful for, given his situation?
That he took action, and be grateful that he took a step to create change.
Great. And in one word, just take one step. What quality, like what kind of man did he show up as to take that action?
Challenger.
He was, give me another word. So he was like, what can you look at, a man like you to take action in the face of all this? You are X. What is that X? He
empowered. empowered,
He's
change,
empowered. He's
change
empowered, maybe courageous,
courageous, yeah.
right? So there's an opportunity right there to have gratitude, to reframe. Like, man, I love, I don't like that you spend all your family's Christmas money. However, it's a man of courage, one, to admit it. It's a man of courage to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
You are courageous. And then what you were talking about before at the beginning of the call, it's like, oh, now they connect to the richest part of themselves. I begin to see myself as a man of courage because you've just given me 2 bits of evidence
Mm-hmm.
that I am courageous. Now I can live into that and take the next action.
I like that.
Kara, what do you think, like, as you look back at this person, while you were busy giving birth and breastfeeding and taking care of your husband, that she did nothing for 2 months? I know I'm doing that kind of satirically, right?
Mm.
She wasted 2 months. What is worthy of being grateful for on the other side of that? For her, what would you
You-
offer?
Self-knowledge and persistence.
Persistence, self-knowledge, in that she was what? Was she, like, honest with herself, or how would you describe that?
Yeah, honest with herself that, like, hey, I didn't do a thing these last 2 months, and I just completely let myself slack off, and I'm feeling the weight of that now.
Yeah.
And then perseverance, persistence to pick it back up and keep going.
Fantastic. Great. And again, I'm just going to keep banging this away because to me, this is how you get up doing masterful coaching. Is we're looking for evidence for our clients that they are that man, they are that woman, they are capable of this. Look, you just did it twice in the last 10 minutes. What's 2 things you can do this week to do a little bit more of that, to show yourself and improve it and to create more of that in your life? Because that's what we're building. We're building the person, not the checks on the box, right? So then they come back next week and it's like, yeah, I did that again. I did this, I did that. Yeah, and I didn't do this, but I did. So we can begin to now feel how coming from gratitude creates that reframe, creates a positive energy, that positive vibe that actually, well, here we are now suddenly. Very much more empowered place to coach from. Tara, you're going to be next, but right after Fred here. So get up on that ball, lady. So Fred, what would you say if we go back to the question we had before we got in deep over there, the impact of gratitude in, say, the darkest of times in clients? Oh, wait, what was it? What was my actual question? It was that, but it was more like, how do you see gratitude? How do you see the impact of gratitude on clients? I don't remember the question I asked now. That's the best I can come up with. Are you there, Fred? You're muted.
Sorry,
Okay.
my audio cut out when you obviously said my name at some point.
Yeah, that's okay. And you know
Realize
what?
you're talking about.
My
Yeah.
question was so inadequate. It gives me an opportunity to try again. So, so what would you say the impact, as you know, here we are unfolding this and on each of us having a little bit more of a maybe a broader grasp of the impact of gratitude and coaching. What would you say as you look at coaching you've done recently, the impact of that gratitude would have if you brought more of that, imposed it, so to speak?
Yeah, it lightens the load, the task ahead.
Mhm.
As Cara said, when they get tunnel visioned and the task feels very heavy and it's kind of like wading through treacle trying to make progress, that coming back to gratitude, it's almost like I'm mixing metaphors here. It's like filling their tank up, which lightens the load so that they can move forward with a lot more ease.
I like that.
Completely mixing metaphors.
Fill the tank up. Now it's okay. I'm filling the tank up. There's more stuff in there, but it lightens the load.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, actually, in think about training our clients. There's more of that we can do than I think most coaches do, or they just get caught off in just teaching nonstop. But to imagine being able to tell your client that as you come from a place of gratitude, Paul, as you begin to see that, no, you're just making up that story. This is actually a great opportunity. How do you feel when you get that this is a great opportunity? Excuse me. Let them sell themselves on, oh, wow, when I do see what's great, when I do have gratitude for, when I am grateful for all the stuff that I thought was, the worst thing that could happen to me, I do feel better. I do feel more empowered. I do feel more whatever. It's like, oh, right. Then they begin to sell themselves on it. And then we're helping them to create the habit of the thing that we're talking about now. The Takesha groove, we'll call it. That's it. When we're all starting to be the guy or the gal that people come to for more of what comes more naturally to us because we've nurtured it. I can even think of, I love starting on time. We started probably 3 or 4 minutes. I love starting on time 5 minutes after the hour so the people who come first can ask a question. But we started like at 08 or 09. What can I say? Like immediately, what am I grateful for about that? Well, it allowed us to start with one extra person that I didn't think we were going to have. It delayed the conversation so Tara could join in at a perfect time. It allowed me to come up with another idea, something else that I could thread into this conversation. That's great. That 3-minute late start offered me a whole bunch of benefits and blessings. Tara, tell me about your thoughts on gratitude and coaching, whether it's the impact on your life or the impact of how it shows up or needs to show up more in your coaching.
Yeah, I love gratitude. I have like a gratitude practice that I do every day and I've been doing it for 4 years. And so I've, and then I just enjoy seeing like, the people I coach, like their view of the world changes, as they practice gratitude. And we practice it in session and then they practice that outside of session. So, as does mine, it just like creates those new pathways so you can literally just see things different. And so when I've been working with a couple people for a couple years now. And so to be able to see like them kind of just get themselves out of it, like they'll get in that shame for a minute, but then they're like, wait a minute, I did this without me even having to ask a question sometimes, or just like get there themselves. So then I know that they're doing it in their outside world too, more readily. So it's really, yeah.
That's
This
great.
is my favorite topic. One of my favorite things to talk about is gratitude. So I'm like, I'm gonna make it.
Honeypot, we lured you in with the topic. I love
it.
That's great. And it is awesome to see your clients doing that thing. And, of course, I'm sure you do, but to make sure that we're all affirming it, like I said before, is like, yeah, you are. You're actually doing it in real time. How else does this show up in your life where you catch yourself and you put yourself back on track? Wow, you really are a woman of X. You really are blank quality. How else do you want to manifest that? What do you need to do? What else do you need to do with that today? So cool. All right. What else we want to say about gratitude? We don't have to beat this into the ground. What else we want to say about gratitude? Then we'll open it up to other questions, if and as there are.
I would like to hear a little bit about I'm actually thinking of a friend and not a coaching client, but she reminds me of some other folks. They're just kind of like to sit in that shame for a little bit, or that and so I like finding that balance of like being a Pollyanna, or what a positive Polly or whatever, and meeting them where they're at, and like not sitting there too long. And I know we kind of touched on that before, it sounds like, but just that, yeah, like how long, and that
It's a
tightrope.
great question. It's a great question. Yeah, let's talk about that for a few minutes. Let's name first, why would we want a client to, let's just, call it feel bad, like be in the yucky and the I did do this again and, blah, blah, blah. Now, by the way, when we do that, we're using thoughts, physical sensations, how they move their body, their emotions, their voice, like all the stuff. We're helping them to fully experience this Well, why? Why would we even do that? Let's name that first. Why do we do that?
Process it, allow for it.
Why?
You don't shove it somewhere and ignore it and it circles back up into a negative cycle.
There you go. Good, good. And this is why I'm a big pain in the rear end about, we have to think all these things through, because if we don't have a good why for it, we'll abandon it and we'll go to consulting or feeling good coaching or whatever else. But so why? Because it'll, what was the last thing you said?
It'll show back up in negative cycles.
That's right. And I used to tell my boys, what happens is if you don't deal with this, how are you feeling about this? Fine, fine, fine. I'm like, okay, listen, if you don't deal with this and at least talk about it with me or mom or somebody that you feel really safe with, and don't think it out loud and process it, at least with yourself, but hopefully with somebody else that you can trust, then what happens is that stuff gets held and it squirts out in weird ways. You're going to be sort of passive aggressive, or you're going to avoid this family situation, or you're going to do something you regret. And it's like, well, why? Well, just because you've been carrying this around and building the story about it for so long because you didn't deal with it earlier on. Cool. So what again, now I'm going to, so there's probably two different versions of maybe there's more, but at least two different versions of why would I want Fred, if I'm coaching Fred, to really be with the shame and the blah, blah, blah. Well, one is so it doesn't come out in a weird way. What's another why I would want him to do that?
There
I
might
would
be
say,
wisdom in there.
yeah.
Fred, go ahead. You go first.
There might be wisdom in there.
Okay, there's wisdom in there. Great, great. Now, actually expand on that, Takesha, before we go to Takesha.
Yeah, I was okay. Sorry. Okay.
No, that's okay. We'll come to you. Fred, what were you going to say? Like, expand on that a little bit. There might be wisdom in there. Say a little more.
If they have been avoiding processing it, so have a difficult relationship with the shame, and they're in the shame, but they're not really exploring and accepting it, to actually get them in a safe space to actually spend time there, there's almost certainly things in that shame that they can learn from, and learn what they want to do differently, like learn what may be a source of the shame. That, like, there's all sorts of potential things that they could learn from spending safe time with it.
Excellent. Tons of good stuff there. Yeah, keep coming. You got a little more there? I don't want to stifle you.
No, I think that sums it up pretty well.
Tons of great stuff. Takesha, what do you got? I'm going to jump on that on top when you're done.
Yeah, my comment is very similar to Fred's. It's finding the wisdom in almost unpacking the experience without the heightened emotion of the time of when it happened. And sometimes they will even come up with ahas as they're retelling the experience. So it's the wisdom piece in that.
Yeah, and Takesha, I just want to make sure that we don't conflate. I actually want to make sure, and maybe you're not, I'm putting words in your mouth or I'm mishearing you. Yeah. I want to make sure that even if I, to use your example, I spent my Christmas money on gambling and I felt dreadful and I vomited and I felt horrible, and I come to coach with you, I would want you to coach me such that I got back to that place of vomiting, not like to keep me a little bit safe from it, to get me right back to the vomit, get me right back to the what have I done? Okay, because what you both are saying, and I want to just expand, remember, ever so slightly on, is yes, there is wisdom there. I talk about compromise, right? When we compromise the best of who we are, we begin to see the pattern of the anatomy of Ron's compromise. How did you get to this? Well, the truth is, I thought about it. I was laying brick. And then I thought I should go to the gambling hall. And then I just kept thinking about it all day. Okay, great. So when did it start? Well, it started when the guy brought a scratch-off ticket at coffee break. Okay. So so we find out how to kill the dragon small. We find out how you get there, right? So there's wisdom there. There's also wisdom in, I mentioned it, a while ago when we were, in this call, about that part of us that's when you can smell it, taste it, touch it, and feel the vomit. Oh, oh my gosh. What you begin to do if you do this well, is really associate gambling with this feeling. No, Ron, don't you want to gamble? Come on now, $500 more, Ron. Let it roll. Parlay that shit. Come on. You get 1,000. Get out of the hole. And they're like, oh, no. And they're let them have it all. To like, no, I don't want this. What that does when we let them have the experience is it gives them something really hard to push off of. It is clear, I don't want this, which is a result of this behavior.
Mhm.
Great, what do you want? Right? And if we do just kind of, Tara, to your question, to your point, it's like if we just do a little bit, sometimes that's simply not enough. It's not, I'm not consciously at choice. No, I get it. I won't gamble anymore. It's like, yeah, that guy's going to gamble again or do whatever again because he just doesn't want to deal with it. Doesn't want to be with it. Like, no, man, you need to realize your hurtful words to me, honey, actually drive me away. Yeah, I got it. It's like, no, he or she's going to do that again because they just can't be with the impact that they had. And it's going to cycle again. Versus, no, feel the hurt, feel the shame, experience the feel bad. Well, people shouldn't feel bad. Yeah, they should. They should feel bad. That's their native, natural part of them telling them. It's like that's God. That's the moral urge. That's whatever you want to call it, saying you fucked up, dude. Feel it just enough to get that clear sense to go, I don't want that. I want this. And again, that's when we flip it as a coach. Let them taste it, tell it, smell it, taste, whatever. All of that, smell it, taste it, touch it, to go, I don't want this. What do you want? I want this. Tell me what's possible with that. And then we can breathe life into. Now, all of that, Tara, to answer your question a little more thoroughly, because I don't know if you were on when I said, there's also the technique of, dude, you effed up again. You spent all that money. Well, how much longer do you want to do that? What's it going to be like for your kid to open a friggin' present? I guess that would be with no presents. That might be back along the others, like make them deal with it. Yeah, you screwed up again. What do you want? Like they may come with enough of like, oh my God, I don't want this. And you might have enough momentum in that moment of coaching where you don't have to take them deeper into it. They get it. And what's an action or two that they can begin to do to dig themselves out of the hole? Because there's an old saying in the rooms. I used to have my own addiction, and I used to go to, though it wasn't cocaine, I used to go to Cocaine Anonymous rooms because that's a buddy of mine went there and they had just some great meetings. And they talked about how, I've hit rock bottom. It's like, yeah, no. There's always another bottom. There's always another floor. So you can keep crashing out until you're dead. That's true too. But what we want to do is create evidence for this person, like I said before, that actually you are a man of courage. Did you see you got up at 5 a.m. like you said you would? That takes balls. You're totally courageous. It's like, oh, I get, yeah. People don't do that after going on a drinking bender for 3 weeks. No, it's all about taking the edge off and one more. And if I drink a little bit, I'll take my hangover off. No. That's a different deal, man. So that's a stud. You're a stud. Oh, yeah. So what's one thing you can do today to build on that? It's like, oh, so that's all we're really looking for ultimately in coaching is to connect them to themselves, right? Alignment, integrity, integrate the best in their lives. And so if all they have to do is they're already coming like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. You don't have to go down into the muck and the dirt, but you've got to do the other, which is what do you want, and begin to move them towards it, begin to help show them evidence of it and move them towards it. And I'm going to say one more thing, and then we'll go around the horn to say, one takeaway you have from today. To me, this is a perfect, it creates a perfect circle back to gratitude, because I could go on a bender for 3 weeks and wake up at 5 a.m. and realize I'm not damned to hell. I'm not gone forever. I'm not irredeemable. That's something to be grateful for. There's always something to be grateful for. And then you build on it. You showed up on time. When was the last time you did that? Well, I did it yesterday. Okay. Before that. Well, it's been a while. Great. 2 days in a row on time. You're crazy. Let's keep going. And you're going to fall down probably once in a while, but your trajectory is this way now. How cool is that? And your certainty, you know, that Takesha brought in, that sense of being a person of gratitude, that again and again and again, and people begin to know you like that. As a coach, you begin to have that degree of faith in your clients, forget about it. Forget about it. They're just going to know, like, they can bring their worst stuff, and at the end of the day, you got their back because you know who they are. So I think that'll be my final word on why I think gratitude is so impactful and so important in coaching. All right, go around the horn. You don't have to be as wordy as I was, but essential, bottom line, what are you taking away from the call?
There was a
I don't know
lot,
about.
but I
Go
like,
for it.
sorry, I liked what you just said about like just, you know, letting, like knowing who they are at their best and like holding that for them. So that creates like that safe place for them to show up and with these feelings.
That's great. Yeah. That's a good one to always come back to and remember.
I have highlighted here, feel it, touch it, taste it, and how that can lead a client to actual choice and shift that energy of, gratitude and being grateful for where they are and what they're about to do.
Yeah. Let them fully experience the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Great. Great. Kara?
Savoring is kind of like my word for today, I think. Just savoring all of the experience, the good, the bad, the ugly, the joyful, and looking for opportunities in all of it.
That's great. That's great. Fred, what you got?
This may be introducing a curveball in the last few minutes, but one of the things that came up for me at the end as you were talking is having gratitude for the saboteurs as well, that they may be finding a terrible way of trying to help us, but ultimately they are trying to help us. So integrating the whole of who we are means making peace with the saboteur, at least in terms of what their intent is, if not what their actions are.
Well, you're going to make me put down, we're going to talk about this next month. Hold on. I'm going to have a bottom line, but I want to expand on it next time. There's two basic philosophies you can have on saboteurs: demons, daemons, devils, spirit, whatever, however one wants to hold it. I guess, you'd be your ego and your, what's the language I'm missing? I'm not going to go there now. We'll talk about it later. Ultimately, one is that they're actually actively trying to sabotage you and screw stuff up. The other one, it being the that it's the voice that you developed when you were little. Don't careful crossing the street. So you're at 40, you're still trying to be careful over stuff that you just don't need to be careful about. When they show up, so here's the gratitude. The reframe is when they show up, I would say it's evidence that you are. Now, this comports more with one versus the other of those two that I just named. But yeah, when they show up, it's evidence that you're heading in the right direction. So there's a lot more to be said on this, but we'll talk about that next month. I think that's a great topic. So, thanks, Fred, for my, the sort of the doorknob confession, or so to speak, is what you'd call it on certain shows. Or in therapy, they do that. They do that in the old American show Columbo. So the doorknob confession. All right. I've said my piece. Before I let you all go, let's say goodbye to everybody who's watching this online recorded. Bye, everybody, or hi, or bye.
Bye.